So one thing that we didn't get to talk about was anarchy, and I see your flag behind you. The
Yeah.
That's the Agorist flag, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, as going into any like political discussions and stuff, I read a lot, but not with the intention of like regurgitating those facts and figures to other people. It's more just like opening the floodgates and bringing in data and seeing what gestalt happens from all of that information for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of people, shout out Ace Anarchist or Ace Archist on Twitter. There's people like that who know the philosophy like so well, and they can pull up quotes from all these wonderful anarchist thinkers throughout the ages at the drop of a
Sure.
hat. And, I'm definitely not that. But,
Me
uh,
either.
but it's been a weird political road. I grew up very like conservative Republican, Mormon in Utah, and but then I went to Africa for a couple of years. So it was very eye opening. I was on the internet by the time I was 11 or 12,
Mm-hmm.
um, and have stayed on ever since. That was much easier for me. Like, running with my Australian guild in World of Warcraft was way more appealing than like, sitting in my friend's basement or whatever. So
Yeah.
that was all good exposure for me. But then I got to college and was exposed to like a lot more like liberal mindsets, even though it was a Brigham Young University. It's a Mormon
Yep.
school.
BYU.
Um,
Yeah. Sure.
yeah, I had some, again, looking back, I wish I would have gone for, microbiology or something like that. But had some great times there. I worked for the newspaper, and the newsroom was like this little liberal enclave, which I was super into because, there's a lot of amazing things associated with liberalism, like treating everybody
Sure.
fairly and maybe working together in some manner to build a stronger community. And all of that was very attractive to me. And I remember in my media law and ethics class at BYU, oftentimes it would be like me and the professor against like the rest of the class on a topic. And it's not that they didn't have good points or valuable input to add to it, but it was just like, at that point I changed my major late, and I had already been in Africa for a couple of years. And so, I had all these experiences, and most of the rest of the class was like, in the second half of their freshman year or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
um, so that was really good for me too. And starting to see some of the machinations of like, we can do this because it's legal versus like we should do this because it's right and true. And like all my PR and marketing classes, like reading Bernays and like all about the modern manipulation of people and stuff. And it's wild, man. Everybody should read Bernays. I forget the name of that book. Whatever, Google it. Because like, your enemies read Bernays, and they're using his work to influence you. And like, once you read it, you see it everywhere. And it's like, oh, I see what that sign's really trying to do to
How do
the
you spell that?
community. Uh, Bernays, like Bernays sauce, Bernaise. He was a social scientist and wrote a lot of books on like marketing and public relations and that those types of manipulations and stuff.
Ed Bernays.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it two ways.
yeah, I probably
B E
spelled it
R
wrong.
N A Y S, but you also spelled it the right way. So,
Okay. Um,
okay.
but
So when you
just
Google
my
Bernays
most
book, it
valuable.
comes up as propaganda book on Wikipedia.
No, that's the one. Propaganda by Bernays.
Oh, that's
That's
the
a
name of
very,
it.
very
Okay.
valuable
I
book.
thought it I thought it
That's the
was
name of the
just
book.
like
That's one of the books,
Bernays
yeah.
is just propaganda. Okay. That makes
No,
sense.
no. But like he's the guy who came up with like the concept of eating eggs and bacon as like the traditional American breakfast. Like that was a
Really?
marketing tactic. That wasn't like a natural cultural phenomenon. Yeah. They had all
Hmm.
these pork bellies and all these new like, hen houses like on an
Well, now
industrial
I
scale
gotta
to
I gotta look into this guy. If he came up with eggs and bacon,
man, it's wild.
I'm in.
But yeah, so then after I got out of college, I continued being interested in politics and I found Ron Paul and I read like And the Fed and the Revolution and that really opened me up to a whole nother world of like Austrian economics and I had a brief fling with libertarianism, but it turns out it was just a kind of way station on the way from statism to anarchy.
Sure.
Um, I I think I'm glad that there's people trying to like make a difference from within the kind of state setup, but at the same time, I just kind of wish everybody would focus more on building parallel systems. It's not that I want to like destroy anything. I want to build alternatives. And I think the
Absolutely.
more people who get involved in building alternatives, like the better off we all are. Uh, there was a dream of the internet when I was a kid that I really signed on to, and that was something that was lost with Web 2.0 and funneling everybody into apps and
Yeah.
content moderation and all of that. Um, so like for me, a lot of people who haven't read into it very much or haven't asked any questions see anarchy as like this like selfish individualism and like I just want to burn shit down and like it's couldn't be more opposite.
It's
It's
not. Yeah.
ultimate self-responsibility. It's motivation to build a robust community around myself, um, because that protects me and makes my life more enjoyable. Um, it's 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 just consent, it's adults living with each other the way that they want and dealing with each other the way that they want instead of having to navigate around these like massive centralized systems. There is no one way to organize things and to think you can set it up so that it's fair for some green haired guy in Brooklyn and at the same time what some rural family in Alabama wants is just ridiculous. To have one organization over like such different places and cultures and it's the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were revolutionary technologies for sure, but so was the hand axe. We don't use those anymore. Like at some point it became archaic and we have all these new
Right.
tools and we don't need a central bank to exchange value with each other anymore. And we certainly don't need these global centralized food systems to like provide for us. It's just in my view the most pernicious like method of control that they have is over the food system. And so I guess that's why I've
Absolutely.
chosen the path I'm on. That's what this flag is all about. I mean, agorism is consent. That's all it means. It means like, hey, I got this milk, or hey, I got this piece of land. Let's do this. Okay. Or no, let's do something else. And we talk about it. And you know, people think that it means no
Voluntary associations
organization.
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Voluntarism. I like that word, but it's a little awkward and I believe in reclaiming anarchy instead of trying to come up with another one.
Yeah. I'm personally, I'm I don't know. I don't guess I consider myself an anarchist, kind of in the same way that I don't know if you saw the interview with Josiah Young. He doesn't consider himself a homesteader, even though he's very obviously a homesteader, because he's like, this is just the way of life. Like this is how like people
Hmm.
used to do it. And so like I guess like the same could be said for anarchy and anarchists. Like this is just the
Yep.
natural state of being. Like this like it there
Yeah.
is really no other way other than being manipulated to have to do it a different way.
And I think that point is like what disturbs me most about like the culture war that we're in right, or that is being pushed on us right now.
Yeah.
Um, so much of it is about control of language. One of my favorite teachers is Terrence McKenna, and one of his common like raps that he would go on is about how like our reality, our culture is built of language, and people who seek to control your language are seeking to control your reality. And when we get all hung up on these noises that are coming out of our mouths instead of the ideas and the intentions behind those noises, bad things happen. It's
Hmm.
just never going to be good. Uh, so I kind of like that. The homesteader who says he's not homesteading is like yeah, why do you got to put a label on it? Why do we have to?
Right.
We had organic farming, then we had permaculture, then we had regenerative agriculture. It's like, yeah, man, or just like listen
We
to
have
nature
nature.
and yeah, we have nature,
Yep.
and we can emulate it, and we can work with it, or we can fight against it, and we can do things the wrong way or the destructive way, and then come up with new tools to try and fix those mistakes, and then those new tools lead to new mistakes, and that it kind of gets me to like the GMO topic. It's like, yes, GMOs are a tool that was created because we were doing it so poorly to begin with. We needed to like get into the plant and do things so we could continue these destructive practices
Right.
but still produce food. And it's like okay, yeah, and I guess we wouldn't have invented fire extinguishers if nobody ever like burned a house down. It's
Right.
like, so, especially with all the off-world stuff, I'm glad the GMO tool exists. Um, there's a few fruits that it has completely saved from possible extinction, like papaya and banana. Um, but I think it's a tool that needs to be used much, much less on this planet in favor of more natural systems. But I think it's a tool that needs to be aggressively developed uh, for our future not on this planet. Um, yeah. Like, how cool would it be if we could teach algae to photosynthesize a broader spectrum of, the EM frequency, and like they could start metabolizing radiation in like liquid filled bubbles that are over our cities on Mars or whatever. It's like GMO
Yeah.
has the potential to do some cool stuff. Uh, but we're just, like so many of our powerful tools these days, we're just abusing it and using it incorrectly, and just kind of charging into it partially blind without potentially knowing the long-term impacts and stuff like that, other than all the obvious, like, oh yeah, you have to do that because you were using all these methods that nature was saying no to.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, that one always gets me. Between the anarchy and the GMO thing, man, I always have somebody to argue with.
There's no argument here. I mean, you mentioned those people that, they can recite this line and this phrase and, know this book
Yeah,
backwards, forwards. Um, those people are nice to have. And like,
for
because
sure.
it kind of helps you get in your own mindset. And, I don't, man, I'm kind of with you. I'm not sure if I like or I don't like people that are inside the system fighting it, because maybe there is some, like, we do need some resistance, but at the end of the day, whoever's in power is going to steamroll those people. They're just kind of like a speed bump, really, right? And so
Yeah.
they're going to get their way sooner or later. And like, okay, you're in my way, so now I have to find a different way to get to what I want. And for me, I completely like separated myself. Like, I don't watch the news. I don't give a crap about your politics. Like, they're going to do what they're going to do, whether I'm involved or not. And like, I'm it's so much, it gives me such a clear mind to just divorce myself from any of that garbage.
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, there's so much just bullish that is fed our way, man. Like, and anybody who like watches TV every day, I don't care what network it's set to, like you're not getting an accurate picture of reality.
No.
Um, Even if you jump around, all you're really getting is like fear and shiny objects to get you to watch the next car and pharmaceutical commercial. Um, yeah, I'm with you. I haven't had like traditional TV service since I became a farmer, I guess. And don't get me wrong, again, it's the tool is not the problem. Like there is some astonishing, amazing storytelling taking place in the medium of television.
Right.
And I think that the species is better off having those stories told. But for every diamond, there's a just pile of garbage that
Right.
sits on
Yeah.
top of it. So again,
Um,
it's all just I got thumbs. I'm a tool user. Just got to be aware of the tools who want to become your master.
yeah, the tools using you could be. Yeah.
Mhm.